Welcome, everybody, to the MidLyfe Gaming Podcast. This is episode 12 with your peoples on this side. Sorry, my chair is acting up on me right now. As always, we got Pharaoh Steve and this guy Archie in the house to present to you the gaming news. How's it been going, Steve? I know we just hung out yesterday.
Yeah, it's been good, man. Good seeing you. Man, I can't even remember the last time we actually saw each other in person, to be honest. So that was pretty cool.
I mean, it's easily years. I think, yeah.
I don't think it's been years. Has
It feels like
really
it.
been years? And
I mean, it's been at least one. It's been at least 1 year.
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a hot second.
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember the last time I saw you. But it was good seeing you.
It was good seeing you too. We knocked out a bunch of games, a bunch of Transformers games.
Yeah, I was gonna say we probably played longer gaming than we have in a while.
Probably
since the last time we played Spellbreak, but yeah, that Transformers game was pretty cool. Playing Walking Dead with Thomas was pretty cool. So.
Yep. Tom the Greek, who's probably gonna show up in chat, was also there with us.
Yeah,
great
and
time.
We had those cards, they gave us unlimited time, so we got to beat everything that we played. So that was cool.
That was very fun. We didn't get any tickets, which is a shame. No erasers, but
no erasers or cheap candy. But yeah, like you said, it's episode 12, man. Glad to be here. We're that number's rising, obviously. That's pretty obvious, but I'm just kind of surprised by how quickly it's rising.
Yeah, I feel like we just kind of started this not 12 weeks ago.
Yeah. But hey, let's get on to the news.
Let's get on to the news. So up first, we have a Titanfall pilot is landing in Apex. So we already brought up the news that they had made the announcement that Titanfall content was going to be coming to Apex Legends. You had brought up that if they were to bring the actual Titans, that might get you in. And I'm sorry to say, but I don't think that is the case. At least not with the cinematic that was released, I think a little bit earlier today, maybe last night. But basically, so there was a kind of a boss tier enemy that you fought in TF2 by the name of Viper. His daughter has kind of grown up by a good number of years and has his Titan. But for whatever reason, it's not super well explained in the cinematic. She has decided that it's going to be a cool idea to rip the arms and legs off of this, her father's Titan, and has some type of floating mechanism about it. Let me see if I can just skip ahead to that part. It's all kind of like dry story, really. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so that's the core right there of her dad's Titan, Viper's Titan. And so she's removed the arms and legs, and now it's this, rocket, potentially a drone type situation based off of the leaked data that has come out on it. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I've made it pretty obvious to you guys. I'm not the biggest fan of Apex, and it's not anything against Apex. It's definitely probably as polished as Warzone when it comes to the Battle Royale games. I'm just not a big Battle Royale fan anymore. I'm a big Titanfall fan, love the franchise, and I love this idea. So I'll have to say, this isn't enough to bring me back into Apex. It's not going to be enough for me to play, but I think it's cool for the Apex fans that also happen to be Titanfall fans, and there might be a small segment of Titanfall fans that will actually try Apex out because of this, but it won't be me. I won't be coming back. But yeah, one of the cool things for people who don't know is the way the Titanfall 2 campaign was really set up. Like, it had you going through all these levels, but it was really cool that all of the bosses you went up against had these unique abilities. Like, no two bosses were identical. They all had different Titan layouts. They all had different Titan weapon loadouts and abilities. So I think this is pretty cool. I really dig that they, kind of the lore here that, okay, her, Viper's daughter is taking on his Titan and, taking his, because this is what his ability was. He had the ability to float up and he had the huge rockets and he just attacked you from the air. So it's kind of cool to see that they're bringing that over to Apex. But yeah, not enough for me.
I think it's a good demonstration of the fact that they are still digging into that lore, though, means that there is the real possibility for a Titanfall 3. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when
at
for
this point,
Titanfall 3. Yeah, like they've heard enough, and the fact that Apex itself is so popular gives them a opportunity to say, like now it's kind of to the point where like Apex probably has surpassed Titanfall in popularity, player count, and all that. So now they can use Apex to reintroduce Titanfall and things like this. Put Titanfall 2 on sale, a week before the E3 announcement. Hey, it's $5, something like that.
right?
People who, that'd get people to come into it. So there's a lot of ways they could kind of get the hype back up against or back up for the Titanfall brand. I think that's just it's a matter of when. One thing that we see a lot with companies is they'll experiment on a platform or in a technology space before they put out their big IP. So I thought it was kind of interesting in that Respawn they announced that VR game, and everyone immediately thought, "Oh man, it's going to be Titanfall," but it ended up being Medal of Honor. But to me, I'm like, okay, they did that because they want to dip their toes in that ecos or in that eco space first. Put out a game that doesn't have too high of expectations, and then they can come back with obviously what people want. So I think like a Titanfall VR is even something that's going to come one day.
I hope
If I'm
so.
yeah, because if I'm correct, I'll look it up here really quick. But Vader Immortal was on Oculus, and I
Hmm.
believe if EA has a Star Wars contract, they had to have somewhat been involved with that.
Oh yeah,
So,
I didn't think
yeah,
about that.
it doesn't list them on here. It says the publisher was Disney Electronic Content, so maybe there was
Oh
something. Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, so I think that there's a world where Titanfall's coming back. I just hope it's sooner rather than later. I don't want to wait another console generation for it.
yeah, and I don't think we would. I honestly feel I'm gonna stick to my guns on our first impressions when then sorry, I can't talk. When the rumors came out about this first, uh I was pretty confident that this was going to start a chain of events that would lead to Titanfall 3. If it's not already in development and almost done, then I don't know. I'd be surprised if there's not already a team at Respawn working on getting Titanfall 3 up and running. Even if it's just something as simple as, hey, let's figure out how we need to bend Frostbite to our whim and make it happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. If anything, see, the only thing is that EA is not very flexible. Like, if that was Valve, I'd be like, yeah, there's probably somebody who's working on Titanfall 3 in their spare time. At EA, like, they work those people to the bone so badly that I don't really know if they really are working on it. Like, I think EA would. There's probably a vocal group of people who are like, yeah, we can make one. And EA is probably like, yeah, but we would prefer you to just keep doing stuff for, Apex because
For
it's churning
FIFA.
out money. Yeah, FIFA, all that kind of stuff. But who knows, man? EA's been good the past year,
Yeah, that's what I
with
was gonna
the
say.
releases.
Is they really have been trying to, at least to the public. Who knows what the insides looked like, but at least to the public, they've been trying to uh, garner a little bit more goodwill from their player base.
Yeah,
So
they've been delivering what the people want. So we'll see, man. Again, I'm not gonna try it out. I think you and Thomas will probably try it out. You guys let me know how it is.
yeah, we'll let you know. Because we had our first win the other night, scared the hell out of everyone in the house. They just screamed. I was like, yeah, let's go.
That's funny.
And it was the biggest carry as well. It was like I think I had 2 kills. I think Thomas had 2 kills. We both had like 1 assist. And then this poor guy who basically won it for us, even though I will say we did save his life, which did allow us to take the win. He had like 26 kills. We weren't even
Oh
sure what
shit,
was happening. And he was like just not slapping fools left and right. It was crazy.
man,
It was
that's
great.
wild. Good stuff.
Good stuff. So let's move right along to the next topic, which is Resident Evil 4 VR has been announced. Now, it looks kind of cool from the very quick, it says HD trailer. It's not. It's a dude talking half the time. Um, it's only going to be for the Oculus Quest 2 is what it makes it sound like. I don't know if I appreciate that or not because these headsets are not cheap. We have another story later that will go over that exact reasoning behind what happened there. But the headsets aren't cheap. It's not an easy thing to set up. still. I guess with the current ones it is because it's inside out tracking, um, as opposed to like the Index and the current, or not current, but the older Oculus Rift is still outside in, and it's still not cheap to buy those. So I don't know why they would go and lock it down for just an Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah, I have an idea. Excuse me. Just by looking at this screen cap and a little bit of the footage, like it looks terrible. Like to me, like I understand Resident Evil 4 is a old game. I get that, but the texture quality looks incredibly bad. And the thing about VR games, like what you're seeing on the 2D space, is always going to be, I don't want to say infinitely better, but it's going to be a lot better than what you actually see in the the HMD space,
Right.
because the game is rendered at a higher resolution, and then the hardware itself has a maximum resolution. So for it to look that bad on just 2D space makes me think that they probably put it on Quest only because they don't want to get embarrassed by trying to sell this as a like a PC Rift game. But I say that, and then at the same time, looking at this functionality, like it seems like it's got a lot of cool functionality, like with the pressing of the keys and being able to throw the knife and all that.
Yeah, and
So,
you
but
reload yourself. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't understand. Maybe it is that they're trying it out on the Quest first for the reason I said, which is they don't want to optimize it for higher resolutions, and then maybe to come later. But yeah, it is kind of weird that it's Quest only. I've seen the opposite, like in Echo Arena, the combat mode is locked behind the PC only version
Mm-hmm.
of the Oculus, but I haven't seen this type of thing yet where it's backwards, where oh, it's only on the Quest.
Yeah, and I will say currently it is not confirmed to be a Quest 2 exclusive title, but the
Yeah,
wording of uh, Dr. Drew here, if anyone knows who that is anymore, um, I don't remember what
that
his name was, but he basically says that it's coming to the Quest 2. They're excited to bring it to the Quest 2 and whatnot, but there is zero mention of anything else. And they did just kill off the wasn't the Quest 1 that got killed off. It was the S,
the
I
Rift,
think.
yeah, the Rift S is gone.
Yeah.
That's why I picked mine up earlier this year when I heard that they were doing that because I could see. So there's this outcome where first of all, they announced they were killing the Rift S. CV1, which was the original Rift, has been dead. And they've been pushing the Quest 2 very heavily. The Quest 2 plus the PC link is what they're really pushing heavy
Right.
right now. And to me, I was like, that makes me feel like they're not going to do another desktop version of the Rift. Like maybe they're like, you know what, we're going all in on the completely wireless solution. We'll offer the PC link because it is getting better. It's just not to my liking yet, but it is
Yeah.
getting better all the time. So I think that's what they're doing. That's the reason why I went ahead and grabbed the Rift S when I could, and it was on sale too. So like, yeah, hell yeah, no reason not to, right?
Yeah, I don't know. So it's one of those things where it sucks because a lot of people are getting into VR for the very first time, and a lot of them aren't wanting to drop. And I think the Quest 2 is what, 300 right now. So
Yeah,
it's not horrible. But a lot of people know that they can get the older ones cheap on, eBay or in their Facebook marketplaces in their local areas and set those up with, very little requirements on the PC side nowadays. And there's a whole community that's already built and ready to help them out to get it set up. So I don't know, to kill off the other models just seems kind of dumb in a way, because there's still communities that are still on them. Like I have this one, the I think this is just the Rift, the actual market one that came out forever ago, and it still is
yeah.
great. I hate the screen door effect. Like I mean, it's ugly, but whenever you play for more than 10 minutes, you completely ignore the screen door effect. Like
Oh yeah,
it's a blur. So I
absolutely.
have no complaints about this one, other than sometimes frame rates are a little weird, but that could just be my computer acting stupid. Um, but then again, that might be what Facebook is going after. They're like, hey, listen, not everyone's gonna have the same computer. It's gonna be harder to do things like with that type of hardware. Because everyone has a different graphics card, everyone has a different processor. There's so many different ways to configure a PC. If they just shove, a Samsung phone into a headset, yeah, dope. We know what is in the headset. We can program towards it. It makes the dev's life easier. So maybe that's the road they're going down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, man. We'll definitely see. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Jesus,
Very good.
dying today.
Don't
Uh,
say that. That's not good.
yeah. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. What else we got, brother?
All right. Next up, we got Sony reverses course on the PS3 and Vita store closure. They received a bunch of, I won't say hate mail, but most likely probably hate mail from current devs that work with them, asking them what the heck, because a lot of titles aren't approved for the transition to go from PS3 or even the Vita over to PS4. And even if they were approved, it's not a seamless transition, at least not as seamless as one would want, because their architecture is so fundamentally different. That's the reason why getting PS4 titles to work on the PS5 is not going to be an easy challenge for them to overcome. But they have reversed it, and in a statement, they said, upon further reflection, it's clear that we made the wrong decision here. So today, they were happy to say that we will be keeping the PlayStation Store operational for PS3 and PS Vita devices. But the PSP commerce functionality will retire on June 2nd or July 2nd as planned, which I honestly had no idea the PSP store was even up. But it makes me think that if they're saying the whole commerce functionality is going to retire, then what happens to the people that own games on that PSP? I mean, if you're listening and you have a PSP and you play it, just go ahead and mod it already. Like, there's never been a better time to mod that. If you have a Vita, mod it. Go for that, because they're my biggest problem with this is that Sony, just like Nintendo, is so against the emulation scene, and I understand it. A ton of people use it for theft. Uh, but most people are out there trying to play games that either A, do not exist in a format that you can purchase from anymore, or B, they exist in such a rare quantity that you have to go drop like $500 on a graded limited edition version of the game in order to go play it. And you just want to play the game, and there's no legitimate way to do it anymore. Or I guess part C is, I bought the game on PS2. Why do I have to buy the same exact game on PS3 and now PS4 and then maybe possibly on PS5 for the same exact content? No changes, no adjustments, no nothing. It's I don't know. It's one of those things that kind of hits me a lot because I prefer to have physical copies, and you and I have talked about this in great detail. I prefer physical copies because I like the idea of being able to just brush the dust off of an old console, shove the game in, and be able to play on an older TV. And now we're hitting this weird stage where even the PS3 is starting to struggle with modern TVs because the HD copyright protection chip that's built into it has no clue what to do with modern TVs. My friend Justin, his girlfriend, tries to play Rock Band all the time. She had to go find an old HD TV that had HD copyright protection on it that was of similar age as her PS3. I was like, that's bonkers. So it's,
Hmm.
I don't know. What's your take on all this? Like, obviously, I'm glad that they decided to reverse it, but how long? How long does it last?
Man, so I'm conflicted when it comes to this because I read something the other day that was just talking about, and I don't remember the exact figures, but they were talking about the cost for the game studios and such to continue to support older commerce infrastructures. They were also talking about the fact of how much it would cost if I think it was like, man, I can't even remember the number, so I don't want to throw it out there, but they were talking about how much it would cost if someone like PlayStation, for instance, had compatibility all the way back to PlayStation 1 for every title. and it was astronomical, whatever the cost was. So I get that. I'm
What
glad they
what do you
did it.
mean by that? Like how much money would they lose if you could just plop a PS1 disc into a PS5?
No, not how much they would lose, how much it would cost. So, 2 things there. How much it would cost for the actual hardware, like the
Mhm.
PS5 to physically be able to emulate all the prior titles.
Mhm.
And then the second piece was how much it cost them to keep the servers up for every online title they've ever, published, every commerce store they've ever had. So, they were telling, I forgot if it was Polygon or Kotaku, I really don't remember, but whichever, site I was reading, they were kind of trying to make an argument for why this stuff happens, and I get it, like, I really do. And I think Sony did the right thing, which is gather all the feedback you hear. They have all the
Mhm.
tools they can use to get social media feedback and all that. Gather all the feedback, see what people are the loudest about, see what you can reasonably do, and then cut the one that doesn't matter. Like PSP, obviously they looked at the data and said there's not even that many people on the PSP store as it
Active
is
on it.
right now. Yeah, so it was probably an easier decision than the other 2 platforms, which I'm sure this conversation will come up again, or maybe the best course would be, "Hey, you know what? We give a team, here's all the resources you need to go ahead and make a platform that we no longer ever have to worry about backwards compatibility anymore," which is what Microsoft is trying to do. If you look over on their end, I wanna say it was last generation probably when they combine the development cycles of the PC and the Xbox
Right.
titles now.
Yep.
So it's like, now, hey, we don't have to worry about that anymore. Our infrastructure will continue to work cross platform and it'll be backwards compatible, in some way, shape, or form. So I think that's what Sony needs to do. Maybe it does. That was something Xbox took some flack for as well. Oh man, it holds you back. Well, yeah, maybe it holds back, but if that's what the gamers want, just be transparent and explain that. Like I think sometimes these companies are afraid to really talk to gamers
Talk
because
about
we're
it.
all kind of yeah, but be transparent, explain like why things are the way it is. Like maybe it doesn't sound that good, but at least the gamers it shuts up a lot of that stupid like armchair commentary you get like, oh, why can't you just support everything back to the PS1? Well, hey, if we were to do that, the console would cost $3,000, unfortunately, something like that, or
Right.
whatever the fucking cost would be, that's why we don't do it.
So but here's
Which
the
is
thing
they
though is that
kinda which, sorry,
go for
before
it.
I get going, which they kinda did. If you remember the original PS3, remember you had "Hey, here's the backwards compatibility model, here's the one without it, here's the one with this hard drive," like, it was confusing as shit, but it was because of that reason, like, they're like, "Hey, if we gotta do this because it's gonna make people happy, you're gonna have to take the cost on for it?"
Yeah, the 699 event. Most of
Yeah.
us remember that. But I mean, so I think backwards compatibility just fundamentally goes against what Sony even means to themselves. They're always trying to get that next block, and I think I brought this up maybe last episode, maybe episode before last, but Sony is always focused on the next. Like they don't care about what's happening now. They don't care what happened in the past. There's probably Tim Sweeney and a team of 6 is probably in a room right now. Well, maybe not right now. It's probably late for them. But earlier today, discussing what the PlayStation 6 looks like and how do we improve the architecture on that. I mean, they're always the development cycle is very quick to start on Sony's side, and I appreciate them for that because that's how you get those amazing titles out of uh, games like God of War, The Last of Us. All these different partners that had a role to play in the construction of the PS4 saw a payout for their put in for that type of console. But the trade-off, like you said, was the no PS3 titles. No, I
Yeah.
mean, I think, when did they come out with PS2 classic titles? Was that
Oof.
after the Pro or before the Pro, the PS4 Pro? I don't remember.
Honestly, don't re honestly, could not tell you,
But it's
to be
still, it's
honest.
like not a lot of them. I mean, most of the time people go back to play the old titles because they're like cult classics. Like we were talking on Twitter the other day about Legend of Gaia and Legend of Dragoon and everything. Like those are cult classics. Those games don't have a footing in today's market anymore. So, how does one legitimately go about playing Legends of Dragoon? I think it might be on PlayStation Network as a PS1 classic title, but then it's all virtual and I have to buy it again. I can't go pull the disc out of my closet to play it. I have to go through, and I think that's what kind of trips up gamers is their hesitation to buy into that type of ecosystem because we all bought into physical media at one point, and now the physical media even today means nothing. It's an install disc. The most of the time the day one patch that comes with the games today is an enabler patch, meaning the game doesn't do anything on the disc by itself. You have to have that patch in order to play. And you can't play it from the disc. You're installing it. It's an install disc. It's completely different play styles or read styles from a data stance. So I don't know. It's one of those things that hopefully gets worked out over time, I guess. But like you said, it's got to be a communication between the player base and the actual people making the hardware. They did a great job with the PS4 by talking to the key developers for them, but I think that there's going to be like a lot of what Xbox has done today and it has excelled at today is from their communications with their different gaming communities as well as their developers, of course. And Microsoft's been on this heavy charge to just dominate the market, buying out developers left and right, and creating Game Pass and just creating things that are just, it's outrageous to not take advantage of. I can go load up, Halo 1 disc on my Xbox One right now. The original Halo 1 disc. I can just plop in there, it'll install it, verify it, and then download the actual cloud copy of the game. And it's good. It's done. That's all you got to do to play it. And it's just got to be that easy, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. It's really going to require, like you said, a complete rework of how things work for it to be
Yeah.
to a point where I think gamers will be happy. I mean, this is a band-aid fix until the next time they decide that they need to stop support for something, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know
Yes.
what the answer is to this because I completely understand why you would look at a receipt for your server bill every month and go, excuse me, why is it this expensive? Oh, it's because we're
Yeah.
still running the PS3 multiplayer servers for Killzone 3. It's like, what? Well, get out of here with this. You clear that off. Let's play something else. It's easy to brush it
Yeah.
off that like that.
Yeah, honestly, the real solution is one that I don't think that they do, but at the end of the time where you want to support multiplayer games, make the network code fucking open source, let the players do what they want to do. There's always going to be a band of players that take that on themselves, and you just
Yep.
say, hey, don't fucking bother us for patches or anything else. This is yours, but when we release the new one, you guys have to be better about the IP. Like, don't be making like you just don't make HD upgrades or something like that. Because really, the
Mm-hmm.
only reason why they don't do it is they don't want to cannibalize their new sales whenever they release a sequel or something. But
Right.
just make it open source and move on. Like the players will crowdfund better than any company ever can to keep projects like that alive.
Oh
You know?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, Wikipedia itself is completely held up by donations, so
Yeah,
it can be done. It's been proven. As long as it's a good enough platform to stand that test of time, someone's going to do it. And if it's open source, I can just run a virtual machine on my desktop, and then I'll be good to go. Me and my buddies can have a LAN party here if we want to play a classic game. Like that's uh, I agree with you. That's probably a solid answer. I know a lot of it can get circumnavigated by like I think Halo 2 classic servers are being ran completely by a different community that just has you. There's like a piece of software that helps you change your DNS on your Xbox, or you change your DNS on your Xbox, and then it connects to some other weird network service. I don't know. The conversation's way too long for this, but uh, yeah, I mean, it can be done. It's just whether or not it gets official support or not, I guess.
yeah,
Leave it to a community to either skip through and do it themselves or just go ahead and provide the tools. And allow your IP to survive longer. Like that's all you're doing.
Yeah.
You're giving it more time out in the space. So I don't see where the downside really is on that one.
Mm.
All right, I think we talked enough about Sony for now. Let's move on
Yep.
to the next one, which
And
is
Xbox.
Xbox Cloud. Yeah, the next Xbox is there is no next Xbox. It's in the cloud.
Yeah.
So
Really.
Xbox Cloud Gaming for Windows 10 PC and Apple phones and tablets began as limited beta for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members. Now, this is supposed to start tomorrow, the 20th, and invites are going to be going out. There's no way to apply for one. I guess your application is you are an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate member. Um, I'm hoping that I get an invite though because I did the Android one not that long ago. I think it was maybe a year ago. I think I shared it with you.
Hmm.
Um, and that one worked well. I couldn't play Destiny to save my life on it because you're never going to be able to compete with someone with a mouse and keyboard when you're playing on your phone with a controller. And that is the version that it was putting us in, was like a weird crossplay setup. I wasn't quite sure from the technical side what was happening on it, but the latency was just enough to like just off enough to where first person titles were not a fun time, really. I played Forza on it and it was great. I played Sea of Thieves on it and it was great, even though that is kind of like a FPS ish a little bit, but not really. Played a couple of different games on it and I was really pleased with it. So I'm hoping I get the invite for this one as well.
Yeah. Not many thoughts here from my end. It's kind of funny. So I was traveling last week. I was out of town for 2 days for work, and I took my Switch and I didn't even play it once. So I'm not the audience for when it comes to the portable and the cloud game and stuff. Like, I just if I'm not at my desk or on the couch, it is almost impossible to actually get me to sit and play a game. It just does not come natural to me. Like, I need the real experience. So I hope I like this idea. Like I
Mm-hmm.
love that it's becoming more accessible for everybody. Like I love that. It goes to that whole thing I keep saying about Xbox, like X-Pac from wrestling. But X Xbox is not fighting a console war. They don't care. They're building
Right.
out this huge ecosystem that is so large, and to me, it's very impressive. So kudos to them. I hope everything goes well with this beta test. Ironic to see Apple in there because Apple has been having had some issues with xCloud in the past that they weren't even going to allow it.
Well, so
They have
how this beta is going around it though is it's not an app you download, it's a web service. So
I gotcha.
you're going into your web browser and going to a URL and then it's just going to be, one of those type
Okay, well that's
setups.
cool. Yeah, because Apple blocked Steam from having I
Mhm.
forgot what it was, if it was remote play or something, but they were just very big against it. So hey, more power to them. I'm happy for Xbox. I think that they have really turned it around in the past couple years. I don't think they're going to be at the top of the mountain again anytime soon. When it comes to things, I still think the PS fans are going to be a little louder than them, just
Right.
because they have those exclusives that kind of bolster them up right now. But I think Xbox has finally become a good competitor to where they are offering a lot different than PlayStation, a different offering. So
Right. I'd be excited to see
cool.
what like a partnership between them and PlayStation because
Yeah.
in the moving forward in time machine, in 100 years, what does PlayStation and Xbox look like?
Yeah.
Uh,
To me, PlayStation's just too it's not predictable, that's not the word I'm looking for. Too sterile. Like everything is like there's nothing wrong with what they put out. Like everything they put out is pretty much incredible,
mm-hmm.
but they're lacking like personality to me. It's like they're a juggernaut. Like they put out
Oh yeah,
AAA blockbusters all the time, but I just feel like Xbox has more character to their ecosystem, to their games, and just how they're run.
that was a trick question. We're all gonna be dead in that amount of time, so it doesn't matter.
Gotcha.
All right, so this
So
was
speaking of
a quick one, but we'll go to the next one if you're ready.
yeah, I was gonna say, so speaking of things that are dead, um, ability or the need for having a Oculus Rift or a Index or any type of VR headset is now dead if you want to play Half-Life Alex, which I definitely recommend. It's funny, we were out yesterday talking with Lim, who's one of our friends who's sometimes here
Hmm.
in chat too. But he is a Index owner, and we were talking about Alex and just how great of a game it was. And now Alex is available for just standard 2D pancake, is what we call it, pancake playing, man. And based off this gameplay that you're seeing on screen now, it doesn't look bad at all. Very reminiscent to Half-Life 2 just because of the way the UI and everything is. But this is a fantastic game in VR. I think you're going to lose a little bit of that playing in 2D, but just the fact that it's functional, you'll still be able to enjoy the story. Looks like you're still going to be going through the same story beats and things like that. Still the same physics are working, and yeah, this looks great. Honestly,
Yeah,
like
it
this
does look
looks
great.
yeah, so right now they have 2 of the 11 chapters from the game, ready to play. They're gonna continue doing that, and a lot of the gameplay is really I don't wanna say samey, but a lot of the mechanics are the same throughout the game, so I don't think this is gonna be a case of, "Oh, man, they're gonna get to a certain level and get stuck on something they can't replicate." It's
Right.
just a matter of them going through and making sure it's optimized, but yeah, it looks good. I'm not gonna play it again because it was actually a very long game, even though it's 11 chapters. It was a very long game, like, to Valve's credit, they put a lot of work and effort into it. How about you? Are you gonna try this out? Have you tried Alex in VR yet?
I have not tried it out in VR, but I have, I've brushed the dust off my VR and I'm giving it more opportunities. Like I texted you the other day saying that I tried Elite Dangerous in VR, and I was ecstatic whenever I started playing that. I was just like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is what I've been waiting for right here, not Beat
Yeah.
Saber.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that later
Yep.
in the show here, so that'll be cool.
I'm excited
Yeah,
because I think even if you have a VR experience like Half-Life Alex, I think because those headsets are still expensive, they're not readily available. Even like today, the Quest 2 still normally sells out on like in stores. I don't know about on Amazon, but in stores, um, they're still not exactly staying on the shelves. So I think it is beneficial again for an IP to keep, especially one like Half-Life, where everyone's been dying for Half-Life 3 for God, who knows how long at this point. But
oh, yeah.
everyone's been dying for Half-Life 3 and they're like, "Oh, here's this other Half-Life that is VR exclusive." That kind of, I don't know, feels a little like, I get it. It's a great
Yeah,
experience, but I believe that developers should absolutely step forward and go, "Here's how it's meant to be played, the VR way. But
yeah.
here's this two-dimensional way if that's what you're about."
Yeah, in this case, I mean, I get it, that would be the nice fuzzy wuzzy thing to do,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they were trying to sell indexes, and if you remember, man, there was a time where selling item on the Steam store was the index, and it was because of Half-Life Alex. So their plan worked. Here's how we get people to take VR as a serious platform. So it sucks that you have to do that exclusivity sometimes, but in
Yeah.
the ends justify the means. And the cool thing is that they have this mod now, and if the mod is done properly, hopefully what it does, and this is something we do in the flight sim community with our modding is, hey, we're not trying to cannibalize the sales of the product that a developer wants. When we make a mod, it's like, hey, for this mod to work, you have to own the original product.
Own
So
the
the
game. Yes.
yeah, so the developer still gets their cut from you buying the game, and then you just have this cool mod that enhances it, and hopefully you guys work together, not like a symbiotic relationship.
Right.
Your mod funds sales of the game, and the game selling brings more people into trying your mod out. So hopefully that's what's going to happen here. I think this is cool. I do.
I mean, mods are probably the only reason why Skyrim still exists today in 18 million different forms. So
Oh,
I
absolutely.
agree with you completely.
I would have not gotten through The Witcher if it was not for mods. I played The Witcher 3 because our friend Ryan,
Hmm.
Badfish kept recommending it. So I finally, bought it, loaded it up, and in that first little town, I was like, man, this like the mechanics suck, blah blah blah. I uninstalled it, and then like maybe a year or so later, I just happened to come across the article. Maybe it was PC Gamer or something that was talking about different mods, and it was like, oh, they have this overhaul, and I was like, I'll try one of these overhaul mods. And sure enough, that's what it took for me to be like, okay, this game is the shit. Like The world is great. It just has some mechanics that need to be worked out,
See,
and
I
the
didn't play it
community.
at all with mods.
Oh, it was I cannot play it without the mods. I'm sorry. Like it just the attacks felt weak, but
Yeah,
like I'm like it doesn't like if I'm this grand, witcher who's been around for hundreds, thousands of years, whatever the case is, I should be pretty powerful with
I
my
should be
powers.
macking
And
these powers left and right.
yeah, so I just but yeah, that was pretty much it was a good game though. I don't want to get too sidetracked. But yeah, this is cool.
This is very cool. I like when communities can come together and all agree like, hey, this is not damaging. This is actually beneficial to more than just the developer, but to the player base. Let's get it. Because I mean, this isn't a paid mod, correct?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, Thomas in chat said he can't hear us because he's in a loud restaurant, but he loves us. Love you too, Thomas. Can't wait to get back to hear the replay. It'll be up tomorrow, Thomas. Be ready just for
That's on
you.
me.
That's all we had in the news, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Let's talk
That was
about
it.
what's on our radar this week.
What's on our radar? So first up, I actually had a difficult time picking a game for this one. Not because there wasn't any, but because there was two that came out last week that I wasn't sure which one I wanted to feature. So I picked this one. I like this one too. It's called Voxel Tycoon. It's basically kind of like a management type sim game, very low poly. So I imagine, people with just basic laptops will probably be able to play this, assuming your processing power is strong enough. But
Yeah.
it's an infinite procedural world that's created that you build around. You start with like mining crude materials and building all the logistics to get it to like a refinery, and then you have to build the logistics to get it out to like other factories and everything. It looked pretty interesting. I
Yeah,
had
it
only
does.
just seen it today, and I was like, oh wow! Like I added it to my list immediately. I definitely wanna play this one.
Yeah, this looks good. I'm always down for tycoon and sim
Yep,
management games, so yeah, this looks right up even
same
my alley.
here, same here. Yeah, this was mine. It's early access, like most of the games we talk about. I feel like half of Steam is just early access at this point. Um,
Yeah, I understand why though. I love it because it lets the developer, not that I'm some years long
mhm.
developer, but even our team, like what we've noticed is so much better to have the community involved while the product is being made because they're giving you your feedback right there. What I see other developers do though is they kind of do their development in silos, and then they just put an update out, and then all hell breaks loose. Like, oh, why'd you change this? Blah blah blah, and then they have to do work reversing that plus finding a better solution, whereas they have just come to the community up front. The community usually gives you better feedback, during the development process. So I'm all for early access. I'll take this over the Kickstarter method any day. Kickstarter
Absolutely.
is, hey, here's something we're thinking about making. Give us money and go hide for 3 years, and then we'll come back with it. Whereas this usually, when you say early access game, they have it up and running already. It's just okay. Hey, we need some money to keep to justify us going deeper into the development. And if they're a huge success, then it usually shows in the outcome of the game.
Yep, and you know the the whole plague of an early access game never leaving early access kind of gets, I think, over memed a little bit, because like you said, it is predominantly done by developers or dev teams that are just looking for that instant feedback. They don't want to solidify anything until they get that instant feedback. And if this is what you got to do to get it, then get it. Why not? Go for it. I'm down. I
Yeah.
support it.
Yep.
All right, that's all I got on mine. So let's move along to yours.
Yeah, so mine is F1 2021. So, if you're familiar with Codemasters, they're the company that used to make the F1 games. They also used to make the Dirt series.
Mm-hmm.
They were acquired by EA. I don't remember if it was this year or last year, but they were acquired by EA, and with that, the F1 license is now part of EA Games. And EA has recently released the trailer for 2021 F1. This is 2020 that we're showing on screen right now, just because there wasn't a lot of footage available. Literally just got announced, but
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this. I have a weird thing about me. I don't watch NASCAR. I don't watch F1. racing any of that. I was about to curse. I don't watch any of that, but I do always enjoy the simulation aspect of it, like, building a team up, you're hiring the pit crew and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that they mentioned with EA winning the, or having the license now, you see it here on screen. They're gonna have like this legitimate story mode in the game. So I'm guessing you're probably gonna come up as some rookie, driver or something like that. But just having something that kind of takes you through the races and all that, I think is really cool.
Right.
Um, One thing that you will see in a lot of racing games, especially like the NASCAR ones, is it's rare that you're even in first place. Like a lot of times, you're just trying to get into like the top 20 or the top 15, something like that.
Yeah.
So usually it is they make it pretty difficult. They make it pretty challenging, which goes on the other end of how your team is running. Which again, we're seeing here on screen now the my team stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think it's gonna be out later this year, if I'm correct. Yeah, it's 2021, so definitely
Yeah.
not 2022, right? So, but, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be long. I believe it's summertime is when they're
Yeah.
planning on releasing it. Which is crazy
Yeah,
that
'cause
all they've come out with is a cinematic and it's coming out in summer.
yeah, 'cause right now, the F1, series is already going on, like, they're already doing
Yeah.
races and shit this season, so, yeah, hopefully it's not too long, and hopefully the fact that they're late isn't a bad thing. Maybe it's just like, "Yeah, we took our time with this one," versus,
Mhm.
"Ah, shit, we're so late, and we're just coming in very hot," day one patches because the cars are upside down or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Weird mods
Yeah. But so that's
or
what
bugs.
that's what we're talking about coming up here soon. Let's talk about what we were playing last week. So you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier in the show. You finally got your VR hit set up and you were playing some Elite.
Yes, I was playing some Elite Dangerous and still an amateur very much. Every time I get in it, I'm like, oh dang, how do I drop out of hyperspace without just doing a barrel roll right into the
Yeah.
next sun? Um, it's still a very fun game. It's I got a couple of different interactions because now I have left the, I guess the like the beginner zone. I don't know what that's called.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have the permit to go back in there anymore. They're like, as soon as I left, I got a message like, "Oh, your permit's revoked. Have a great time." Like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
ready for this. I didn't know that this was happening.
Oh, that's funny.
But I am starting to see some spots where I do need the DLCs. I'm learning the icons. The icons you got to pay attention to is what I've learned, because I definitely went to take some items to a different star system, and I was like, oh cool, these people are buying it for a lot, and it's like, oh, you need the whatever the one is that lets you land on like land bases or something.
Oh, that's so weird because I actually you're on your Steam page now. Scroll down. So I was gonna gift you the Horizons, but I didn't even see it for selling. So I thought it was maybe included in the base game here. Yeah, see,
Yeah, it's
they
not.
don't even have it available. So I
Is
don't
it?
know how the hell you get that now. Interesting. Unless they're
Oh,
saying,
I wonder if it's
unless they really,
delisted.
yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'm not sure. I'll look into that for you and I'll let you know because I did think about that the other day. I was like, oh, I'll just get it for you because I knew it was probably like 10 or 15 bucks or something, but
I wonder if it's
maybe
just
they
like
took it.
included in this, so that's why it might be delisted.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what it is too. They're like, "Yeah, we know, but this isn't coming out anytime soon." Like they said, maybe they said every phase was going to be like 2 to 3 weeks, and they're on phase three, and they have to get all the way up to phase five. So it's like maybe June, July. But anywho, I'm glad you're enjoying it. We definitely have to play together, man. Like, I've been working my ship up again with you in mind because I'm trying to get like my fighter and stuff up to par 'Cause I've always wanted, like, somebody to go out and actually wing with, do some missions
Oh yeah.
together and shit like that. Yeah, it's just, it's a great game, man. Have you had any multiplayer interactions yet? Even if it's something as simple as, like, seeing the chat, people talking up there or anything?
Yeah, so a weird thing happened. I'm not entirely confident if this was a real thing that was happening, like in the game, or if it was a player or not. But one of the zones that I went into, someone was piloting around a giant ship, and in the general chat for the system, it was like a cruise ship. They were talking like it was a cruise ship, like, oh, and on your left you'll see the beautiful planet blah blah blah, and notable
Oh,
things
that's
about
funny.
this planet are blah 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 blah. And
That's funny.
they were doing like an entire like system show off kind of deal. And I was like, what is happening over here? What are people really just hanging out in this dude's ship, just
So
looking at the sun?
that that sounds like it was the AI. So a lot of times in the chat, you will get like the stuff. Usually if it's a live person, you'll see it'll say commander, the
Oh,
CMDR, and then a
okay.
person's name. Yeah, but there are people who do that. So one of the most notable like role playing groups, I'm in a big one, the Thargoid Hunters, which is it's AXI Anti Xeno Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty big group that does role playing. You'll see them out, saying, "Hey, like the sector has bugs in it or whatever. Get out of it pretty quick." Um, there's the fuel ret. So if you're ever out in
Right.
space and you forgot to fuel up, you call a fuel rat, they'll come over and they'll rescue you. There's a couple different groups that actually do operate like that. What you'll probably start seeing though, you will see the pirates and the bounty hunters. So depending on where you are in space, usually what they do is so you'll learn about community events.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they try to, the developers, they want to bring people to certain areas, so they put a community event out there to get people going. But it also attracts pirates because pirates like, okay, there's a bunch of people come out this way, and you'll literally get those people that'll pull you out of a hyperspace jump and be like, hey, tell me what you got on board. They'll scan you and say, all right, do you want to fight? Do you want to risk it, or do
You
you just
want
want to drop, X amount
they
of
can pull
goods
you
for me?
out of
Oh
that
yeah,
assisted hyperspeed. Oh, I guess
yeah,
just
out
get
of
in your way, right? Collision detection would drop you out.
yeah.
Yeah, oh
So
yeah.
there's a tool actually. You'll probably get it if you ever do bounty. Eventually, um, it'll be like, what the hell? You're in the middle of a jump, and then your screen's gonna you'll see this thing, this little cursor that starts moving around, and you basically
Oh, the
have to
escape
follow.
velocity. I have seen that. Is
Yeah,
that what that is?
yeah. That's
Oh,
somebody trying to pull you out of hyperspace. So if you don't do that, you know how on the left it's like you can
right.
see the meter filling up. If you don't get it in time, they'll pull you out, and you have
Oh, well,
to.
thank God, because I right before that happened, I had spent all my money on nodes of gold, so I would have been broke
Oh,
as
that's
hell
funny.
after that.
That and that's what they do, man. They because they can see they don't know what you have on board, and so they missions from doing a jump. So when
Hmm.
you're like, you'll start seeing a bunch of crazy shit on your screen. Eventually, you'll be like, oh, that's what that is. But like, you'll see high emissions or something. That's someone just jumped, and you follow that, and you know that, oh, okay. Because again, if you're super cruising to the same star, you can just meet them at the star.
Right.
Um, you know, yeah. So there's this is a deep game, man. Like I was saying pre
It
store
is
life,
in a
like
very
you
good
can.
way.
Yeah, you could play super casual, but you could also get nitty gritty deep into it. And I'm back on that point where I'm about to start getting nitty gritty deep into it. I've got a couple apps that I haven't deployed yet that I used to use all the time because I'm like, I know once I get those going, I'll be knee deep in it. Like they tell me, hey, do this route 1,000 times if you want to make the most money or whatever.
Mm,
Hey, man, and they have like a live stock market in it too. The basically that's what the commodity market is. Like you can
right.
crash the market for something yourself because you bring so much to the system. Like we don't need any more of this shit. So it's
Take it back.
yeah, yeah. That's the coolest thing. It's probably that they call it the BGS, the background simulation. Like
Hmm.
everything you do is having an impact on the game. I don't know if you've looked at the what do they call it? Blah 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 blah. You have the allegiances that you pledge
Right.
to whatever, person, like, that's all the simulation, like, they actually do take over space, and then, like how you go to the station, like, "Oh, you're allied here." Well, if it just became a member of the empire and you're a federation, maybe it's not,
Maybe it's not an ally
allied with
anymore.
you.
Maybe all
Yeah,
your
so
stuff's more expensive now.
yeah, I just love all that, and, yeah, we're definitely, we're gonna get you into Odyssey too, once once this update comes, I think that's really where the fun shit's gonna come because then we could really you get a lot more variety of gameplay style, like, so much more variety.
You think they're gonna hit that late spring uh window, release
I
window?
do, I need to look at the phases again and see what else they have planned because it looks I mean, even right now, I'm skipping this phase that they're doing right now because it is, I pulled this up on my screen. So phase 3 is based off exploration. What they did with this phase was they made the bubble size 50 light years. So right now
Hmm.
you're contained to a very small area, just like you were when you were doing your, your pilot's train or whatever.
Right.
They're expanding that. They're allowing you to do the first like footfall experiences, which is, oh, I'm the first person to land here. I claim this, for
Oh.
me, whatever. They've got the biology ship, which is going to a planet, scanning plants and everything. And then the next phase, actually, so I was a little bit off. I think they definitely are going to hit this timeline. I thought there was 5 phases. There's only four. The next phase is what they call the compatibility phase. That's where they're taking a snapshot of your real player,
Hmm.
and they're gonna let you bring that into the alphas, so that'd be cool. And then everything from the alpha is gonna be brought in, or I'm sorry, everything from the regular game is gonna be brought into the alpha. So it says the carriers, the ships, fighters, SRVs, all that stuff. So
Very
yeah, this is probably
nice.
gonna come out in the next 4 weeks, I would say. They probably need 2 more weeks for the compatibility phase, and then probably 2 weeks of polishing, and then this will probably be out. So
Yeah, that's the stage where they figure out, who's the exploiter, who's gonna get in here and go, we min maxed this one ship, so we're just gonna blaze this trail all the way through.
yeah, that's very excited. I'm excited for this.
I'm very excited for it as well.
Yeah. So you also played Final Fantasy VIII.
I did, yes. It's on Game Pass, and I was like, you know what, I'm feeling like a classic RPG experience. It's the end of my spring break just ended yesterday for college. Um, so I definitely did not want to spend a lot of time at my desk because that's where I'm at most of the day.
Mhm.
So I was like, hey, you know what? Final Fantasy VIII, it's on Game Pass, it's on my Xbox. I'm gonna go play my Series X in bed, and that's where I stayed for a good chunk of the weekend. And I'm already through the second disc, so
Oh, damn.
yeah, there's things in it that I've learned for the first time. Like one of the craziest things was the tutorial that I never do. I decided to just click into the tutorial, and turns out you get two like summon people. They're called GFs, or Guardian Forces or something. I got two Guardian Forces right off the bat. I'm like, oh, this first boss has always kicked my butt in this game, but now with these two, I just walked over him. Like it wasn't even a challenge. It's like, oh, so the last 18 times I've played this game, I've been doing it wrong.
That's funny.
But the versions of the Final Fantasy games that are on there are like the air quotes remastered Steam versions. So they have those like built-in uh I mean basically they're cheats, but they're not like, "Oh, I want all these items" type cheats.
Yeah.
Um but they're supportive enough to where you don't have to grind. You can legitimately just play it for the story and just keep on going through it with that. And that's the kind of gameplay that I'm playing, because I do remember Final Fantasy VIII being a very grindy game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty
Interesting.
much other than that and what we played at game time
Yeah,
yesterday.
I really liked 8. So I'm glad you're playing it. I can never go back to it. I were trying to play that in the PS3 era, and it was rough even around the edges back then. But
Yeah.
hey, more power to you, man. I'm glad you that you're having a good time with it.
They've done a lot of good work on the Xbox side of things to be more compatible with those older titles. Uh, Xbox Series X has, I don't remember what the name of it is called, but the developer doesn't have to put a patch in. They just have this different way of running older games, older titles,
Yeah.
and it makes everything smoother. And I've played it on PS2. I think it was the last time I played it. Was a couple of years ago on my hardware PS2, and it looked about as bad as I remembered it to look. But whenever I played it on the Xbox, just the other day, it looked significantly better. Like obviously, you can't build more polygons into the models, but there's that thing that the old Final Fantasy games do where like layers, I mean like hitting my microphone, where like the layers like clip over each other every once in a while based off of your camera.
Yeah.
None of that. And I know for a fact that it happened a lot in Final Fantasy VIII. I have not witnessed that at all because of whatever this weird AI preprocessor is that Xbox has on it. The frame rates are so smooth. It is so buttery. It feels like I would say for you, if well, you don't have Game Pass, do you? If you
No.
decide to pick up Game Pass again, just play the intro for the game, just to feel that difference, because it is a huge difference, and it makes it significantly more playable. And that's the visuals are normally what stop me from finishing an old school game. Like
Hmm,
I'll play for the
interesting.
nostalgia, but then I'll quit because it looks like garbage.
Okay.
Nope. But that's all I had for my last week. What about you?
So we kind of talked. I played a lot of Jurassic Park, Evolution. So that was a older game that came out. Creators actually Elite Dangerous Frontier Developments.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing a ton of stuff, man. They did Planet Coaster, they did this Jurassic Park, they've got Elite Dangerous. They've got like 3 other IPs that they haven't announced what they're doing for them yet. One of those is actually a F1 simulation management title as well. So I went back to Jurassic Park and man, that is they really improved it. The main thing that they did, I won't spend too much time on it, but they added a sandbox mode which allowed you just to make the park that you wanted to without having to deal with all this campaign stuff that they had put in. So,
Right.
I spent about a day remaking a park that I really wanted to, got all the attractions I wanted into, and then I loaded up Nexus mods and man, they have thousands upon thousands of
Oh
mods on
yeah.
there. Yeah, like adding all types of different dinosaurs and things like that, and I was like, "Okay, I'm done." Like, because I was seeing that I could dig myself really deep into it, and I got what I wanted from it, I definitely got my money's worth. I probably played maybe 30 or 40 hours of that game. Still a good game. I'll just come back and forth to it when I get that creative itch again, you know?
Oh
And
yeah.
then, and then other than that, man, just playing Elite, I am trying to get myself all engineered up. So they have this thing in Elite. One of the gameplay mechanics is called engineering. All your parts can be engineered further. They all have the same maximum, whatever maximum threshold they can hit, but it's the
Mm-hmm.
combination of how you combine effects and things like that. For instance, I have 5 lasers on my ship. 3 of them are rapid fire lasers that, burn the opponent's counter components from the inside out.
Right.
And then I've got 2 lasers that are just steady beam lasers that actually cool all my components while I'm shooting. So I can basically, it's not infinite, but I can shoot for a very long time
Oh
before,
okay.
I start overheating. Yeah, it's very cool. Because I do PvE. Like, if I did PvP, in fact, I don't do PvP, so I rated my ship to be able to get away from people very quickly. That's my thing because PvE you could usually do, you could take out even a level 5, and not that it's easy, but if you fly correctly, you know, my little ship can actually. It's funny how elite is. So the larger the ship is, it's actually it's more difficult to be a fighter. Like they're not really used for that. They're
Mm-hmm.
tanks. If they're going up against another large ship, then it's like okay, the pilot
Right.
skill or loadout is going to work. But if you're a big ship going up against a little ship, like it's pretty much you're going to die because as a little ship, I could just come right underneath your belly, just fly around you
Yep.
in circles, do whatever I need to. But yeah, man, it's a fun ass game, so that's why I keep coming back to it. But I'm working on getting all my engineering stuff up. That way, when the Odyssey update comes out, I can focus solely on whatever the new thing is for being on ground. Because I think they're going to take that engineering concept and they're going to apply it to your suit, and they'll apply it to your, you have your on ground vehicle and you've got weapons. So I think they'll probably apply it all to that. So I want to be able to focus on that content.
That'd be good. Do you think that's gonna blend in at all with the Odyssey stuff? Or
Oh
like
yeah.
obviously you'll be able to use it there. Like that's not the question. But do you think it's going to be a deeper, I don't know what it takes to do that, so I'm just asking a question. Uh do you think that that type of content is going to have more depth to it because of Odyssey?
I do because so for instance, one of the things that you could do now is you can engineer your ship's shields and weapons and all that.
Mhm.
With Odyssey, say you and me are doing a mission together, you can drop me off anywhere you want. Like they really have made it to where the Odyssey update is it's no holds barred. Like the game is already pretty much no holds barred before, like, hey, go to
Mhm.
whatever galaxy you want to go star. There's a little bit of limitations on certain planets, just like we can't send anything to Jupiter because it'd get crashed, or get
Right.
crushed in the pressure. So same thing here. But like planets and stuff, like right now in Odyssey, if I want to go to a planet, I either fly my ship myself or I could take a taxi. The taxi lands at a predetermined taxi spot, whatever, but maybe instead I could say, "Hey, Archie, you've got that ship that's heavily fucking shielded.
Mhm.
Don't even take off. Just go a little bit, increase your altitude a little bit heavy. I'm going to drop in here real quick, do what I got to do. I want you to zoom in, grab me, and let's get the hell out of here. You
Bloop
know,
bloop.
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're so the engineering is going to allow people to really have flexibility of how they approach the missions because you'll still have the way it's just hard because I don't know how I'm going to play yet. Like I don't know if I'm going to end up spending so much more of my time on the ground or if I'm going to be out bounty hunting because right now I love bounty hunting, just going in killing pirates and ships, you know. But now you have this ground play mechanic, so it's really going to be like how attractive they make it. I think it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
like the reward system, but honestly, they've been very well balanced because I've gone back and forth between two, and like I can do a bounty hunt mission in 30 minutes that'll make me 4 million, or I could do a ground mission that'll make me 4 million. So it's very balanced.
I like it. I definitely want to
Yeah.
see what that has. You have videos for Odyssey for your gameplay of Odyssey, right?
I did not. So the funny thing, like, I don't really make I don't think I've ever made an Elite Dangerous video, to be honest. I can't think of a single one I've made. Like, I think it's just because I enjoy Elite so much. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Star Citizen is more of it's a work in progress. So there's a lot of news to report on this, which is why I did a lot of news there. But for Elite, like, I really just enjoyed that as a player.
Yeah, that's good. I like titles
Yeah,
that you can just kind of unplug and just go with it.
yeah.
All right. So let's talk about next week. So what do you have going on next week, gaming wise?
Or Elite, man. That's probably all is going to be next week. I'll play a little Flight Simulator too, but it's going to be mostly just Elite, dude.
Yeah,
I
probably the same
like I
for
said, I
me. So
really
we'll
love.
definitely have to meet up.
Yeah, we're gonna play soon. We are.
Yep. And then I think if I'm not playing Elite, then it'll probably be finishing up Final Fantasy VIII. And my wife expressed interest in playing the that It Takes Two game that we talked about. I think like
Oh
an
yeah,
episode or two
that's.
ago. So
I
I
think you guys should.
yeah I definitely want to play that with her and see how good because the game looks very fun. It looks very interesting, very cute art style. I'm about it, so I'm definitely gonna give some time for that. Might be later
You guys
today. Who
definitely
knows?
should.
Because it is on Game Pass. I think it's on Game Pass. I might be wrong. Either way, we'll play it.
Yeah, good stuff. So is it time for a video game 20 questions?
I
Is that what's
think
up
it
next?
is up for video game 20 questions. This week, it is my week to challenge you. Hold on, let me pull up my little blurb that I wrote up. I didn't really write it up. Really, I think if this was something I had to turn in, I'd be plagiarizing Wikipedia.
Oh,
Uh, I just changed some of the words around so you don't know exactly who it is. All right. So, this ill-fated title is a 2001 3D action platformer that was ported a year later with a slightly modified title and a heavily modified mobile edition. Along with its ports, this title sold more than 2 million copies.
hmm. Okay. Was this title? So it's had ports on the original release. Was it a Nintendo title?
No.
Was it a Xbox title?
No.
So it was a PlayStation title.
No. Not its original release.
Okay, I'm gonna burn through these. Was it a PSP title?
Nope.
It was a Game Boy title, or
No. Not
it was a DS title.
specifically. Not specifically a Game Boy or DS title.
Oh my god! So it was a
Let me let
Nintendo
me
title.
restate this and I'll add some uh I don't know what the word is, influence to the words. Uh this ill-fated title is a 2001 3D action platformer that was ported a year later with a slightly modified title and a heavily modified mobile edition. So not the core game isn't mobile, but the addition to it is considered a mobile edition. Along with its ports, this title sold more than 2 million copies.
Is this a Kingdom Hearts game?
It is not.
Is this a Nintendo game?
It at the time is not. I'll give you that little bit of a hint. It would be today. The port was on a Nintendo console, but the original, the one that you're guessing, was not on a Nintendo console.
Was it on a console at all?
Yes.
I said PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. You said no to all of them.
You certainly did ask those questions, and I said no to all of them.
Oh, this is a Dreamcast game.
It was, yeah.
Okay, we're getting back here. So Dreamcast had a mobile. Is how many questions am I at?
You've asked 9. I did
Okay.
this wrong though. There we go. Questions remaining. You have 11 left.
Okay, so Dreamcast game, action and platformer. Is this a Sonic game?
It is, yes.
Okay, 2001. Is this Sonic Adventure 1?
It is not.
Excuse me. Is this Sonic Adventure 2?
It is.
There we go.
There it is. You got it with 9 questions left.
Finally, I got one.
You got
one. Yeah, Dreamcast narrowed it down a ton.
Yeah, it did, because there were only like a handful of good games on the Dreamcast. The
Dreamcast is one of my absolute favorite of all time as well. So
oh yeah, it was such a unique console too. So, and that's why I added that line in there about it being a heavily modified mobile edition. So the original one on the Dreamcast, Sonic Adventure 2, you could load up your chows on the actual memory cards for the Dreamcast. And for the younger audience that might be watching, the memory card actually had a screen on it, and it was like a little, Tamagotchi pocket pet thing that you could play around. The port that it received a year later was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, was on the GameCube, and obviously their memory cards don't have screens on them. But what you could do is connect a Game Boy Advance that had no game in it to the GameCube, and you could have the chow brought over to your Game Boy Advance. But it was a completely different experience with your chow on the Game Boy Advance. And it was mobile, because as soon as it was over there, you could unplug it and walk around. As long as you did not turn off your Game Boy Advance, you could go back, replug it back into your GameCube, and all those updated stats and affection points that you were earning for your chows would move over to your GameCube game. It was a pretty neat little feature.
Interesting. Hey, well, that was fun. I'm glad I got one finally.
Yep, you
Didn't
got
think
one.
that was ever going to happen.
Well, last week, chat won mine, so I think it was around the same amount of questions. Oh, let's see. Yep, it was about the same amount of questions. I lost my page. There we go. All right. Super fun episode, Steve. I appreciate you and your time. Is there anything else you wanted to added today?
No, man. Nothing at all.
Any shout outs?
No, not really, man. I got none.
Oh, I lost you. There it goes.
Oh, no, I was just saying shout out to Tom and Lim. They're watching. It was good seeing you guys yesterday. Good seeing you too, man. Just looking forward to another fun week in the world of MidLyfe gaming.
Yep, me too. All right. Thanks, everybody. Make sure that you hit like, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube later after this, or shoot us a follow if you're watching this clip on Twitch. Thank you so much, everybody.